Is everybody back? I'm remembering a talk that Joe Dispenza gave. I'm not sure which one it was because I've listened to so many, with this whole idea of you learn a philosophy, then you initiate that knowledge into your life. He was talking about like how about a person, I think it was himself, that he'd learned compassion. Like he was reading about compassion, how wonderful, amazing compassion, how he wanted to be more compassionate. And then he got a call from his wife about his mother-in-law having to go to dinner or something. And I'm not sure if it was his story or somebody else's, but and then all of a sudden he like flung back into being totally uncompassionate. And then he just went, oh no, I remember, I want to be more compassionate. And so he was able to apply it. That's what we're talking about, able to, like, we learn something and then be able to apply it to something when it comes up so we don't go totally into reactory mode. So then he ended up actually going to the dinner and being able to be compassionate and loving and understanding because he had learned the concept. But if you don't put it into practice, you never know whether you've got it or not, right? So that's the kind of things we should be working with as we go through this process. The real you. This comes from this thing called You by Ernest Holmes. There is a universal wholeness seeking expression through everything. Mm-hmm. A universal wholeness. It's seeking expression through everything. Simply put, it is life. Life is infinite energy coupled with limitless creative imagination. It is the invisible essence and substance of every visible form. Its nature is goodness, truth, wisdom, and beauty, as well as energy and imagination. So this, he's talking about the life force that we all are, that energy that we got in touch with during that meditation, that thing within us that just wants to express. That's the true self. That's us, and that has total wholeness. It just has total wholeness and total complete love. That's what it is. It's total and complete love, and it's just wanting to express through us. And Dr. Joe says on page 4 of our book, always in order to change, we have to come to a new understanding of ourselves and the world so that we can embrace the new knowledge and have new experiences. So we have to come to this understanding of ourselves and actually bring it out into the world. And then everything starts to look different. We start to not recreate the same experiences over and over and over again. We just start to live a different life, we become a new person.
I was thinking of the avocado tree that she was talking about, how it just expresses. I'm an avocado, throw as many as you want, and you're walking around, and it's not sitting there having any moment, at least that I know of, that is sitting there going, look at them, they took 7 of them, can you believe it? They should have, blah, 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 oh my God, I give and I give and I give, and look at them. They never give back, they don't even say thank you, because that's not how nature just is giving of itself constantly. So as they say, be the avocado tree.
So is there anywhere, can you believe that that's who you are, this universal wholeness? Can you just meditate just on that one thing and take that into your life? And there wouldn't be anything you couldn't do. There wouldn't be anything that you couldn't go at and experience that you would go at it from a different place, and from a place of complete surrender to that, just, I don't know, allowing that to come through you. And that's why the spiritual practice is so important.
And
so important.
And the only time that this isn't true for us, at least from my perspective, is when we don't believe it. So we do believe it, but if it's not happening for us, that's the moment that we do not believe it. It is done unto you as you believe. And you think, well, that seems kind of simple. Well, because it is. It has always been simple. This philosophy has always been so simple that it's very hard for us to grasp it. Because unless it's really, complicated, and how do we do this, and how many steps can I go through to get that, then right? It's so true, right? It's like it's done unto you as you believe, and then they go, yeah, I can really get that. But how do you do that? I mean, how does that really work? And I was just told that the other day, Patrick, that's wonderful, but how do I, especially with self-love, how do I start, what are the steps to loving yourself? Well, the first one is to love yourself. And if you cannot make that decision, then we need to work in another arena, and that is, do you deserve that? And it always comes back, because we may believe this, all of this, right? But guess who that's for sometimes? For them. All those people, oh, they've got it down. No, this is for all of us. And what if I was to tell you that we didn't have to even go any further than right here and right now? Then you'd say, I want my money back. I mean, if this is it, then this is a one-nighter. Okay, but it's the absolute truth from where I stand, that the only time that our life doesn't work for us in that pattern that we want is when we don't believe it. And so all we have to do is remember who we are, and then we shall believe it. Because, like Rita said, what could we not do with this? What could we not be if we believe this?
Well, it's also that we separate from it. It's
Yep.
there and we're here.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I love about that meditation, is that we become one with it. And that's what we do in spiritual mind treatment. The first two steps, we become one with the absolute. All right, go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, science, the new mysticism. If we truly embrace the notion that our thoughts, I love this, that our thoughts produce tangible effects in our lives, wouldn't we strive to never let one thought slip by us that we didn't want to experience? And wouldn't we focus our attention on what we want instead of continually obsessing about our problems? And this is where there's a fine line before we jump, because then you say, well, I'm not really obsessing, it really is happening. And I really get that. I get that sometimes it really feels like we need to really be with those problems or those things. But the only reason, I was reading this somewhere, the only reason why we don't really get what we want, or it takes a while to get what we want, is because we haven't spent enough time over there with what we want. We have been spending a lot of times on why we're not getting what we want. And so when I really think of it, that it feels so intellectually correct to me to just go, and common sense to me now to go, where am I placing my thoughts? If I'm in fear, if I'm in transition, which there's nothing wrong with when you're going through really big changes or big shifts in your life, that you're having those feelings. But we must, if we want to change, realize that we have that choice. That's why God never did anything to us except life force give us a choice. That's all that force did, that sometimes feels unfair to us, is gave us a choice. Someone said to me yesterday, I don't understand, how could God has given me all of these struggles so that I could learn lessons. I don't know. This person has had more lessons and can graduate with honors, and he has passed every test imaginable in the world of lessons. And I don't want to break anybody's like Santa Claus thing or anything, but here's the deal. From where I stand, there is not a loving presence such as a God that could make an avocado tree that doesn't even need a thank you. There is not a presence within us that ever said, I'm going to really make your life miserable so you can really get what it's like to be alive and to understand and to be grateful. I'm going to make your life a living hell so that you can. No one has done that. And when we realize that, because I have been there, I've been in that, or why did God do that? But there is no God that does that. Because that God that we put out here is the only time is when we separate. And so what we're being asked to do now, slowly but surely, is remember who we are. And that's the big thing, because this person that I was speaking with, I said, there is no God that did that. The only thing God did was give us a choice to choose the things in our lives. And sometimes we have made choices that weren't so good for our lives, and that's okay, because we get to choose again. Or if you're really going through something, as I know some of you are, you've shared it with us, and it's really tough on you right now. Here's the deal. You get to choose again to say those magic words, enough is enough. I am worth it all. I deserve the best. I am the best. You know where I come from? I come from the cosmos. I come from the very breath of life. That's how come I deserve it. Well, what did you do? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing did I do, except just allow myself to be breathed from God. Good, love. So what does Joe say? To demonstrate liberty, drop all negative thoughts from the mind.
That was actually, this is Ernest Holmes over here.
Oh my God. Ernest, they're all becoming one right now. Well, then maybe I didn't see the BHBY and put it all together. I guess I didn't see the Babai.
The slides ahead of time.
Oh my God, it's Babai. I didn't know Babai was there. Okay, you know you can't take me down in front of a crowd. To demonstrate the liberty, drop all negative thoughts from the mind. Do not dwell upon adversity, but think plenty into the avocado tree, but think plenty into everything, for there is power in the word. Meditate on the things you are doing as being already done, complete, and perfect. Why would you say that is so important, to meditate on the things you are doing as being already done, complete, and perfect?
Because then you can be grateful for them already. I'm thinking about the drop all negative thoughts from mind, and why would we want to dwell on negative thoughts? And I remembered back to a time where I was under so much stress I couldn't stop obsessing about the situation. And I've been in that situation more than once. But what has helped me get out of that is the self-discipline that somebody talked about, the daily practice of immersing myself in this philosophy has allowed me to get out of that just for that hour in the morning. And then when I come across it in my life later, it's the repetition. Somehow consistency builds the consciousness. And when we have that, then we can notice when we're having negative thoughts. Because when we're caught in that lower mind, when we're stressed out, and he said, she did, it happened, and we can't get there from that mind. But it's only from the disciplined mind that we can.
Right, that's so perfect. And what we're doing, scientifically speaking, is we're rewiring our brain. We're actually rewiring those, whatever they're called, that neuropathways that are so used to going to this, they're just used to going there. But we're actually, when we practice, we're actually pulling them apart and connecting them in a different place. And that's how the change takes place. It's actually scientific. And we do it with spiritual mind treatment. We do it if we meditate every day and focus. Like Joe has a meditation, it's called the morning, I think it's the morning meditation that he does, that you focus on your intention for the day, or an event that I did it with my concert every day because I was like nervous and I didn't want to have those I just did it every day. And then you focus, after you focused on what the intention is and the event and feel the feeling of it and all of that stuff, then he has you go back and this is the weird part, he has you go back and think about all the things you don't want to think. Yeah. From an observer's point of view, all the things that could come up that, I'm insecure, I'm not going to sing well, blah, blah, blah. The thoughts, so that when they come up, you'll recognize them and you'll be able to stop them. And because once you recognize them, you are a master. Just by recognizing what they are, that's like a victory. That's a huge victory. Well, that meditation's not, but I'm sure he says that in there somewhere. This is pretty big. It's called the morning meditation. It's a meditation you can purchase. But I love that idea because once you're conscious, just recognizing that you're having a negative thought is a victory, right? It's a victory. So it's you should be like, wow, thank you. Yeah. Heather, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you imagine that it's already done, it allows you to feel that feeling, whatever it is, and gratitude is one really important one, but it might be joy and I think for me that has been really important, because when I'm in my mind and kind of going back to the traumatic situation, I'm just feeling all this stress and then when I replace that with kind of seeing a different situation, I'm just feeling like free and joy, and it's just so powerful. So,
Right. And you'll create that situation. It has to happen. It's scientific.
I had a really powerful aha come through meditation about 6 weeks ago, and it was, what if I perceived every experience I have as a gift from God? And where I've gone with that is to say, when I have an experience that's negative, I'm taking a page from Abraham's book and going, oh, this is an opportunity for something that's been subconsciously limiting me, holding me back, right? Now here it is in a way that I can see it. So instead of getting in judgmental, oh, here I am with a negative thought, I pivot and say, oh, if I'm not liking that, what is it I want to bring in? Yeah?
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when we combine, this is Joe Spence over here. When we combine
Bye,
an
bye.
elevated emotion with an open heart and a conscious intention with a clear thought, we signal the field to respond in amazing ways. The
Yes.
quantum field responds not to what we want, it responds to who we are being. This is like huge.
That's
And
why
we
the
know this. We
gratitude-
know this in
gratitude.
like science of mind. There is something we call God that makes things out of itself by becoming the thing it makes. According to law and order, spirit creates by contemplation. We cannot create anything in our lives from our old emotion, from our lack emotion if we're having problems with money. We cannot, we have to feel abundant even when we don't see it. That's because the field responds not what we want, it responds to how we are being. That is like so, it's so powerful.
Law of cause and
It's the-
effect,
yeah,
right?
it's the law of cause and effect, or we're actually causing effect.
Causing it.
We're actually causing it. And it's law and order. Spirit creates by contemplation. So it's what and it's not like what we think once. It's just the monotonous thing that we do over and over and over, and then it shows up again. And we're addicted to it. That's all it is. We're addicted to it, and we can change it just as easily. We can change it. I know we can. So I know because I've done it, because I was like in the worst money straits for a lot of my life, and I turned it around by this process, by using spiritual mind treatment, by meditating, by being grateful for what I had. I mean, I was just grateful to be able to shop at what was it called?
The 99
99 cent store. I blessed that 99 cent store when I lived in LA that we had no money, and that store was like I could buy strawberries there for $1. I didn't think about what was on them or anything. I just was grateful that, and just that kind of energy.
We had a reminiscing the other night.
We did.
And,
We sat
it
there.
came out of nowhere, right? We're like sitting there going, anyway, and all of a sudden we're going, do you remember when we were, and then all of a sudden.
No, but it was
you know,
good.
I was, because at the end of it, I thought it would make anyone else depressed. But me, I just went, oh my God, girl, we have come a long ways, baby.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
So, any comments on this about becoming the thing it makes? About yeah. And like I said, it's in the book. So, yeah.
Well, we signal the field to respond, and that's what we're doing. So if we're in the negative tailspin of it, that's it's not you're not bad, it's just judgment when we say.
It's energy.
It's just energy, and it's what I love about the law is it just serves. It has none of that, well, if you had made this decision, then we perhaps could have done, it doesn't have that. We've created that. That's what we do in the human
It's no
experience is
judgment.
judgment. It just, the law says, what do you want? I want a life filled with joy. All right, go about, there it is, become
Yeah,
it.
have
We're
joy.
ready. Yeah, but if you're thinking, we were talking about this too, if you're thinking that the person that's going to tell you how wonderful you are, or that you got the job, or the finish line when I ran the marathon, if that's going to be, oh yeah, now I ran that, and which I'm very proud of, by the way, but there's more to it. If we're waiting for the condition, I ran that marathon so many times before I actually ran it. In my mind, I wish I had been a little more disciplined. I could have ran it with a little more joy towards the end. But the thing of it is that we become it.
great.
We have to become what it is that we want. And that's not the result, or that's not changing that person. It's none of that. It's not about getting your kids to do exactly what you want so that you can be a good mother. Yeah.
And it's not like becoming the thing. It's becoming the feeling behind the thing.
Yes.
It's not like saying, oh, I want a new home, and then you're going to become a house. No. I mean, I have to say it, because sometimes people think it's the thing. It's the consciousness behind it.
Right.
It's the feeling behind what does the home represent to you. Oh, my God, it represents security. I feel so secure. I feel open. I feel, just loving. I love my space. I love my garden. Oh my God, it's just, you just feel the feelings of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you take
Okay,
your
so-
security while you're driving in the car. You take your security when you're with yourself. You take all of that wealth of just going, God, I'm wealthy. I'm so wealthy. But it goes beyond the words. It has to actually infiltrate and go into the actual, your being.
Right. Okay, well, we kind of said this, but we'll say it again. Can you give thanks and feel the elevated emotions associated with the desired event before it occurs? Can you imagine that reality so completely that you begin to be in the future life now? Now,
Joe Dispenza.
yeah, this word future life now, it sounds to me like sometimes like he's saying, oh, you're living in the future. But what he is saying is, what do you want, and can you become that now? Or are you back in your past?
And you're bringing your future to you. You're not going to your
in
future.
reality, there is no future. It's all present. So the word for future is kind of catchy. Yeah, go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, so I was reading the book, and when I got to this, it's like, yeah, I totally agree with this. But then when I started to try to do it, like, oh,
So what
you know,
happened?
it's
What do you mean?
well,
what
it's
what
kind
happened?
of like, okay, it's almost like I have to have the most incredible image and feeling of what it is that I want and that it's manifested. And it just feels like there's parts of me that kind of go, are you sure? Or you can't do that. Or, like there's stuff that's coming up that's getting in the way, and it feels like it's a bigger task than it really probably is.
Well,
Because
it is a
maybe
big
there's a part of
task.
me that's just trying to hold me
But
down.
that when those things come up, then you have to say no to them. You have to say, no, this is what I want to feel. This is what I am feeling. This is, they'll eventually go away. I mean, just like Diane said, if you do it every day, it's got to happen. It's got, you've got,
Right, but am I
it's
really
law.
am I really super imbuing myself with that? Or is there just a tiny little bit that maybe is negative that I'm not really aware of or something, you know what I mean? Like, how pure does it have to be?
It doesn't.
It doesn't have.
Wait,
Yeah, because what we're looking to do right now, right, is everybody's trying to get it right,
Right. And that's
right?
not-
And if we found out the truth that it doesn't even need that, we don't have to get it right. We don't have to. It's okay. You can walk into life as a mess, and it can still unmess. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. But we
There's
keep
nothing you could do wrong.
right.
You just keep practicing it. When the feeling comes up, I can't do it, then you've got to say no to that feeling and just keep saying no to it and think about all the things that you did do right. Think about all the things that you are doing right. Think about all the things that are happening that are amazing. Well, maybe you can't imagine what?
I can't fully imagine it because I've just got a human brain. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh,
what
don't go
could
there.
actually.
Weigh the hours. Da 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 da. Okay, here goes the question. Yeah, here goes the real question. It's about deserving. I hate to bring this up into everybody's face, but it is. It's about the only way we couldn't imagine it is if we thought that it couldn't be for us, that we did not deserve that. That's the only thing that gets in the way. I was imagining the other day something, and I could see it, but I couldn't see my face. And I tried forever just to get the face in there, because I thought if I could get Patrick's face in there, then it would be complete. And it kept, I could see everything, and then it went dark. And I was like, well, who is that? Is that really me? You know, and then I started getting that, like, I guess I didn't imagine it well. I guess I'll go back to imagination school. And so what it really was is, did Patrick believe, do we believe that we deserve to have this? The moment we say, I deserve it, I deserve happiness, I deserve love, I deserve this, and you get to the emotion that makes me want to cry right now, because to think that we would not give ourselves this incredible thing, it literally can break my heart, because it is just amazing. So anyway, that's probably what gets in your way. And then, of course, you know, if you want to control the situation and do it perfectly, then that might do it as well.
Yeah, I just want to imagine it perfectly. That's all.
And so it is.
Sometimes I have trouble too with figuring out what it is I want it to look like at the end. And what I do when I'm practicing these meditations is I just try to catch myself in the middle of it and tell myself that I can think about that later. Right now I'm pretending. I can think about that later when I'm done meditating. And I just stop myself from stopping the imagination. If I can get to what I want to experience instead of what the details look like, then I can feel the feeling anyway, and what I know is the universe can handle all the details. I didn't have to figure out which rock goes where for the wall we built in our backyard. I didn't even have to. In fact, I didn't even tell the guy who built the wall what I wanted it to look like very much, and he built it. What was in my mind when I was meditating, it just happened. The universe let him know where he was supposed to place everything.
That's called getting out of the way of the house, which is one of the quotes we're going to have. But yeah, like, it's just like, you don't have to be that like specific about the outcome. You just have to be more specific about the feeling of what it is, because all you're shifting is your consciousness. You're not shifting details. You're shifting your consciousness so that can be attracted toward you. And then the guy shows up and builds the wall exactly as you wanted it, even though you might not have even known what that was, but you knew what it felt like.
So this is really hitting home for me, because I have been trying to visualize where I'm going to move. And I'm trying to, you know, I've even gone so far as visualizing what the physical space might look like, or what kind of environment it'll be. Like, okay, I want to be able to have night sky, I want to see the night sky, I want to be able to see the sunrise, those kinds of details. But what I'm hearing is just focus on how it's going to feel.
Yes.
And the details of it are going to take care of themselves.
That's exactly
That's
the
what
truth.
I'm hearing, and I knew that intellectually, but I'm really getting it.
Yeah,
better.
it's just, don't worry so much about the details. You know, you need a new home. You know how you want to feel in it. And that's where you go for, in the gratitude of already having it. Yes.
Well, one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because in the book, he gives an example about his daughter
Yes.
who wants to spend the summer in Italy, and she's got all this really specific thing.
Right.
And, you know, like some of it came, you know, she was doing whatever she was doing,
Did
and
everybody read the story?
he come, you know,
Okay. Well, you'll read it.
You know,
and
she
then we'll
says
talk about it
she
next
comes to her dad and says, "Well, you know, I can do this," and he goes, "Well, come on, no, you really want this other thing." So just, and it was like it completely manifested. But she was so specific
on the details. She was
Yes.
specific. She was on the details
No, I know,
instead
but you
of
see,
the.
that's
Yeah.
But isn't
exactly.
that exactly the opposite of what we were just talking about?
No, she just said she went to the feeling of what it was going to feel like. We'll
No,
go
she
through
had
this.
specific details about. She wanted to go to 7 cities and da da da.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with having details, but it's how it's going to manifest.
That's the difference. That's
Diane
what Joe
had a
tried
detail.
to.
She wanted a wall, but she didn't know how it was going to manifest.
I get it. I get what I'm right on with what you're saying with the story. But here's the deal: Joe, even her dad, stopped her because she was getting in all the ways of how it was going to happen, and then she got so frustrated that she said, "You know, dude, Dad, you're rich. Just give me the money." And then she even said, "Well, let's just cut through the whole thing, and you can send me to Italy." Because she was getting all caught in the details of it. Once she got out of the way is when the professor ended up showing up. She didn't go, and there's going to be a professor that comes in the room.
But she wanted specific things, like she wanted to go to.
Right.
No,
That's
yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
I have specific things too. I love big houses. I love big houses. Why? I have not a clue. I lived in a mobile home my entire growing up. That's why I want a damn big house. I'll tell you that
No,
one right
Can
off
we
the-
just stop for a second
Yeah.
though, because it's not about the specifics. You can be as specific as you want about what you want to manifest. What you can't be specific about is how it's going to happen.
There you go. That's
If
it.
Diane's specific, she wants a wall in her backyard, all right? And in her mind, she sees this beautiful wall that she's going to have or whatever, the feeling that's going to have. And then the guy shows up and builds the wall. She doesn't know how it happened. That's what you have to get
Yeah.
out of the way of. Yeah. Specifics are great to have specifics.
Right.
And also be open with your specifics because I always say this or better, you know?
Yeah,
So-
that's the key.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, no, you can get, if you're going to take a vacation and you're going, oh my God, and I'm going to be on the Riviera and I'm going to do this and I can see the Eiffel, and there's not, all of that is perfect. But what it is it's the feeling that's activating the actual a manifestation. Is the feeling that's what's bringing that to me. If I'm thinking I'll never be able to afford it, it probably won't happen. What happens if somebody mugs me when I go there? And that's your fear stuff creating. Then I would get rid of that before you got on the plane. You know, because you got some specifics. Go.
All right. So always come to a complete conclusion, Ernest Holmes, when giving a treatment. Always feel that it's done, because we're talking about gratitude. Complete and perfect, and give thanks for the answer as if it were already objectified. So, you know, they're saying the same thing. That's the only reason I put them together.
Do you see why
So-
that's so important, though,
Yeah.
to see it and give thanks for the answer as if it were already done? Because what happens is we do treatments. I give the same example all the time. We'll be in a treatment. You go, it's finances. I've got to pay my rent, blah, 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 blah. And we go through it, and everybody's electrified, and we go through the whole treatment. And then at the end of the treatment, which we'll be discussing too, is that you release it to let it unfold whatever way that it needs to. And you've already given thanks, so that means it's already happened. So you get to relax. Did you hear that part? You get to relax and stop pushing the boat, pushing it. But then what happens is you go, wow, I really felt that. Oh, I felt prosperous. I felt the money. I felt the big house. And then all of a sudden you open your eyes. Oh shit, it's the 25th and it's 5 more days till the rent's due. And you must start over again because we have negated all the work that has been done, and all that has to happen is for you to start over again.
Right.
Look what I'm doing.
One of the things he says, I think
Practice,
he says it in the
practice.
book too, is that once you start looking for it, you've separated from it. Like when you start looking for it to show up, you've separated
Why
from it.
isn't it here?
If you do a treatment and you start looking for, you've nullified your treatment. You should be surprised when it shows up, like surprised in a way that's like, oh wow, yeah.
What
yeah,
does
right.
Ernest Holmes say about surprise? We should be surprised when it doesn't show
up, right? Not
Right?
you know how it showed up. You should be surprised. It should be seem like a miracle. Keep going. Okay. Yeah, I love this quote right here. I don't remember what page it was on, but when we feel resonance with this loving intelligence, we become like it.
Uh-huh.
This intelligence will orchestrate an event on energetic response to match whatever the subjective mind puts into the quantum field. We become the elevated power that transcends the past, heals the
this.
present, and opens the doors to the future. So that's that whole thing about entering the absolute in treatment, about entering the quantum field in the meditations, is to actually become in resonance with it. So if we come out of a meditation, then we start looking for whatever it was, then we're out of it.
And just start again.
We just start again. Yeah. So, and then Ernest Holmes writes, God turns to us as we turn to it. There is a reciprocal action between the universal and the individual mind. Spirit is ready to help us whenever we turn to it. It's always there.
The biggest thing, too,
We
is
can trust.
about dualism. Just a little word on dualism. Because this can feel that way. Just so you'll know, God turns to us as we turn to it. For me, can sometimes be a separate thing. And that is our whole purpose of, especially of this philosophy, to remember that we have separated it only to try to understand it. There are not two minds, we have only separated for a moment so that we can see the connection. Because in reality, we need not look for anything. We already are the very essence of spirit right here. As we're all thinking we're figuring it out, we're not really figuring it out because we already are that. That's the exciting news. And all we do is get to be surprised at who we really are. And we're going to be like, whoa. And we want to do that while we're in this, because this is fun to be in this costume. It is fun. Or we wouldn't be here. Or we just would be energy flowing through and out through the cosmos, having a grand time out there in the cosmos, which is wonderful. But we took the cosmos and we allowed it to be inside this container called humanity, or whatever we want to call it. So we get to be all of that in this. And yet it feels like we're contained, not even close to it. We're not even, but we get to have fun with this. But, are you guys up for fun? Yeah. With this objective intelligence, we are not punished for our sins. That is, our thoughts, feelings, and actions, but by them.
We couldn't find the quote because there's
there's one
Ernest Holmes quote. Do you know where it is? Yeah, I know.
Right,
I couldn't
yeah.
find it. I kept looking
Find
it up.
it for
If
us,
you can
Reverend
find it,
Diane.
Diane, I kept looking.
Because, not now, but find it, because what we're saying is that Joe, and that's why we're joking about father and son, is because there's everything they're saying, we can find the exact quote in another way in the Science of Mind text. And so it means that with this objective intelligence, we are not punished for our sins. That is, our thoughts, feelings, and actions, but by them. Tell me, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Because we want to clarify the word punished, all right? Because it sounds like some horrible thing. Yeah, we'll let him finish and then you can go.
Okay, so I can only share my experience. I don't know what's happening for the rest of you folks. But there's some things that I did. There's some actions that I took in my life that weren't very nice. And I beat myself horribly for them. Well, it wasn't until later that it was pointed out to me through some intense work that I was forgiven for those actions, because those actions were taken by a very sick individual, not by a bad person, but because of the race consciousness that I grew up with. I was a bad person. I was a mistake. I was a failure. Nobody was punishing me for them but me. But once I was able to come to terms with and be responsible for my actions and own up to my actions, the punishment went away. I don't punish myself for anything I've done or experienced. No one else punishes me for anything I've done or experienced. What they become attributes and an age for me to assist other people by being vulnerable with my real authentic self. There's nothing about me that I'm not willing to tell an individual that I've done, because there's no shame in my game today. If it will benefit someone else, I'm willing to share that. And ding,
That's
ding,
great.
ding.
So let's, thank you for that. And let's, I just want to kind of clarify these words in Science of Mind and what he's talking about. Sins are not like what we think about as we were brought up like Christians, you know, that there's a sin that we commit and then we can't ever, you know, get away from that
What'd
sin.
you
Or
say?
what? As Christians. Well, we were brought up as Christians and we thought about sin and that we had to repent. I don't know how many people, maybe, I don't know if Jewish people believe in sins. But when we are talking about the word
But
sin,
the Christians
we
do.
believe it. I'm sorry. What time is it?
No,
Okay.
you're fine. You're fine. We're
No,
just having
but
fun.
let me just finish my thought. So, sin in our philosophy is missing the mark. It is thinking. It's actually the old archery term, missing the mark. It is the way we think about ourselves. Really, we have low self-esteem. We have, you know, we don't know the truth of who we are. We feel, you know, all these horrible things about ourselves. Those are the sins they're talking about. Those are the things that we manifest back to ourselves. So that's why we have to become more of the beautiful, loving intelligence, to not become it, but feel more in tuned with that. Yeah. Go.
Well, that's why I said we'd never need a punishing God, because we do so well on our own.
I know, right?
I was married for 14 years to a Jewish man, and so I studied the Kabbalah. And I was struck by, at the time that Jesus was on the planet, there was a language that was being spoken, and what sin meant in the language of that time was to separate. And so when we sin with our thoughts or our feelings or our actions, it's when we identify with ourselves as a separate little tip of the flame, right? Separate. And so for me, and I heard Judah say it a minute ago, and he said it brilliantly, nothing outside of me does anything. The experience of having a feeling, an emotion, a behavior of being separate is its own hell.
And then it brings more of the hell back to us, you know?
Separating
So-
from spirits, separating from this power, is so, like where we were just talking over there, it's just really, really, that's a living hell. So as we say, there's no hell or heaven. We do them both right here in a state of consciousness.
So Dr. Holmes says life is a blessing or a curse according to the use we make of it.
Yep.
In the long run, no one judges us but ourselves, and no one condemns us but ourselves. If we make mistakes, we suffer. We are our own reward and our own punishment. That was the closest I could come to that quote, but I know that there's an exact one that's that one.
That's exactly that. And so then we get the argument. I just got it at UPS actually yesterday, talking to an employee there. Just happens to be. Why the minute you say Reverend, then we get into a whole bunch of like conversations. But they were talking about the death penalty. And here's the other, you know, about, well, what about that? And about the punishment and about all that. And I'm thinking, I just need to fax 7 copies. That's all I really need to do. And you know, nobody wants to get into conversation more than this man. But I was in one of those, we got to go, and task modes, yes. But anyway, but it was interesting to really listen to them talk, because they were going, euthanasia came up too. I'm going, wow, on page 4. Page 4 is the fax was going. I was in euthanasia about youth in Europe and everything. But here's what it is. She was saying, how do you know about punishment? That, like, for instance, if someone's really sick, about helping them out to go, she said, how do we know that, and this is how she says, because we're in a workplace, how do you know that doesn't want you to have 2 more days of suffering. And then, but this is the point. This isn't about putting somebody down. This is collective consciousness, my friends. This is not just this room. This is what's going on in a collective consciousness. So that's why Elizabeth is absolutely right. We are pioneers that must. That we are pioneers, that it must go out and deal with that there is a loving God. I know. I just want you to know we've all been there. We've all been there. I was a Catholic for many years, and my baby lived right up there.
Okay, we have now about 5 minutes to go through this.
Oh, no, we don't. We have
Yeah.
7.
7. Okay, so we're going to start this because for those of you who don't know what this is going to be a very powerful tool that you're going to use while you're doing this class, all right? And you're going to use it with your intention, and it's called spiritual mind treatment. And like what I said before about it is you are actually directing the energy by doing this. And you're not just there sitting there thinking about it, you're actually claiming and announcing and becoming one with that. Where is that? Give me this thing. That loving intelligence that he talked about. The resonance with the loving intelligence, we become like it. So that's step 1 of treatment. So the most important thing about spiritual mind treatment, and I have a sheet. You won't have to write these down because I actually have it for you, okay? The most important thing about it is to have a strong purpose, to have a clear purpose of what the treatment's for. It shouldn't be like for a specific, it should be for a specific change of consciousness. So if the treatment is for, if you're working on your health, let's say, then it is the purpose of it is to know that you are whole and that you have wholeness and you have health and your perfection, because that would be the purpose of your treatment. Not about a specific body part, like it would just be that
Yeah, I'm going to do a treatment to relieve my gallbladder from the,
right. No, it's more about the consciousness of health, okay? Kind of work with that idea, all right? Because the specific change has to, with the change of consciousness is when when the event changes, or the material world changes. When you have a change of consciousness, it has to, because you're rewiring your brain. Spiritual mind treatment rewires your brain because it does. That's what you're doing. You're directing the energy. You're directing it. So the first step after you've had your purpose is that recognition step, which is just recognizing that God and source or the field is there all the time. It's there. That loving intelligence is everything. It's in everything. It's expressing itself through everything, through the ocean, through your essence, your breath. It's breathing you. It's in that chair over there. It's everywhere. It's in there. It's in us and around us. It's just there. And that's what, if you can and you'll work on it when you do the Joe Dispenza meditations, that feeling, because meditation will help you to enter the absolute. We call it the absolute. He's calling it the field. But it will help you to commune with it, because you have to when you're doing those meditations. It's just going to happen. So steps 1 and 2 are the most important, because if you get steps 1 and 2, you don't even need the other ones, really. And then the second one, we either call it, Ernest first called it identification before it was ever called unification. I happen to like identification better, because unification makes it sound like you're uniting with it and you weren't united with it. Whereas identification says, I am that. That's me. So you can call whatever you want. On a test, you'll probably be calling it unification. But all it is saying, well, if God is this energy is everywhere and it's in everything, this power and this source, then it has to be me too, right? It has to be Ron. It has to be Jamie. It's everything. So that's just allowing yourself to do that. And you notice how I'm doing it is a feeling. I'm saying words, but behind it, there's a feeling, and that's where you want to get to it. You want to get to the feeling. That's the most important part. And then you have some sort of declaration or realization, which is claiming this new consciousness that you want. If it's health, you're just actually clearly stating it without how it's going to happen, but you're stating it. And it could be my new home. I am in my new home. I don't know why I'm doing home, but it seems like I start singing the song or something. No, it can be as specific as you want it to be. All right, and then so you're claiming it in that step, but you know what? Work it up. Work it up the feeling of what it feels like to be in that new home, or to have your finances secure, or how it feels to feel abundant. Just work it up. Just work
Like
it
in
up.
Judah's case, I
Yeah.
know that whatever move I make, that it is the perfect move, that every step I take is that perfect step for my new place to live, to be, to breathe from. I am already there in absolute God energy, good energy. It doesn't matter, because what matters is right now that I have the perfect place to allow myself to express the highest Judah that could ever be.
Right.
And that's
Filled
what
with
it is.
feeling.
Do you see it? And it's happening right now. It's not like, and I know that when I get off that airplane, that there'll be somebody there to meet me that will take care, and then you're micromanaging the whole thing, Yeah.
Right, and it's like
Plus it
it's the
diffuses the
feeling. It's the
energy.
feeling, and everything is being magnetized toward me right here
Yes.
and right now. Everything's falling into place. Like you're just kind of without giving it, how it's going to happen. You just know that it is falling into place. So you're declaring, and then of course, then your fourth step is gratitude. It's already done. That's why you can be grateful. I'm already grateful for my new living experience. I'm so grateful for, the safety that I feel now, the openness, the whatever it is you're treating for. And then most importantly, and Joe Dispenza talks about this all the time. He goes, now let it go in his meditation and let the infinite intelligence take care of the details in just the perfect way for you. This is a really important step. Get out of the way and allow it to be done unto you. It is done unto you. Remember that. It's done unto you, not by you. Yes?
I have a question on that. Because when they say then release it, and yet you're supposed to do it every day, so it etches the neurons, and yet, it's weird to do it again,
I'm glad-
release it,
no,
do it again,
I-
release it, do it.
I'm so glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
You want to answer it?
Well,
Yeah.
I know that when we first started our journey, we had really radical people, and not always the best way. You only need to do it once, and it's over. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's if you totally live in an enlightenment state. Now, and I agree with it, but I was thinking to myself, it used to bother us because we would say there is a need to repeat it sometimes until you believe. Now, I also believe that when I am actually doing the treatment, that it is actually already done. It is already done. But
that doesn't mean you shouldn't release it. You're
No.
releasing it when you do it.
she's talking about,
Okay.
what does Ernest Holmes say?
You treat until you demonstrate.
And that's
Because
not
think
treat
about it.
desperately
It's
like.
just what you said. You're changing the neurons. You're directing the energy. But it's already done. Means it's already done. You have to align with it. So it's your alignment with the consciousness of it is what you're treating, right? The alignment.
And why we also why we repeat it is because of what I just told you. You get done declaring it, and you go, and it is done. And then all of a sudden you're going, I wonder if I'm going to find. I don't know. I don't really. Then we repeat it. We go right back in again and say, oh, I've been in treatments where we finished, and then they go, well, I sure hope this works out, don't you? and I, oh boy, what's that? You're to God's ears or whatever. I go, oh no. Now we have to be like start all over again. Now we got to go back to step one.
That's okay. He just said what I was going to say.
So it's like every time you do it, you're just reinforcing that feeling that you have.
The
It's not
reminder,
going,
yeah.
where is it? Like it didn't happen yesterday, so I'm going to do it again today. No, it's like just constantly
that's a good
being
example.
saying, I see it, it's there, it's happened, and
do it again because sometimes you get dragged back into the world of conditions, especially if you're having a challenge, a health challenge or a financial challenge or something. It's easy to get dragged back into the world of conditions, and then you start to doubt, and then you're treating doubt. That's what you're doing. You're going back in and treating my doubt. So, and to have more faith and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. You didn't just treat once.
I knew when I was facing the cancer it was an ongoing process, and I had to reaffirm every day and put myself in the light every day. And yeah, I knew it wasn't a one-time deal.
And someday it will be. Go ahead.
Yeah, someday it might be. Well, you know, like in Star Wars, we go like this and the hand is like healed. I mean, but right now we're not.
You sure?
Oh, sorry.
All right.
Anyway.
Nothing's ever lost.
No, nothing. It'll come back in the right time. So no strategizing how it'll be done. We talked about that.
Right.
Get out of the way of hows and just let it go as law. So we say as law
Right.
now, that my word is law, not I'm letting it go to something. My word is law, so I'm letting it go as law. All right?
It's quantum physics, Joe Dispenza thing that helps me a lot. Is the recognition that we actually live with infinite possibilities, like she was saying, which actually are timelines. So what we're doing by repeating it is actually staying available to hook up with the timeline where that's already so. And that helps me understand, oh, it's already so. I'm just aligning myself until it shows
Exactly.
up here.
Perfect.
Sometimes
And
we
as
keep
I
ourselves aligned.
tell the kids when I was the youth leader on the mainland, when you know these two things is why you have the audacity for this one. Because these two, once you do that, how dare you claim? What someone said? What gives you the right to claim this? I said, because I'm this. And from that place, it's one word and one word only, and that's good. I have the right. Once I am this, then the rest is why I can claim it. Yes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Just go to the next. Okay, so no, go
Oh.
back. Okay, so this is again, we have it for you. This is the actual first core concept, which is kind of I put step 1, but it's actually step 1 and 2. The nature of God and the spiritual universe. There is one cosmic reality principle. This is science of mind. And presence in the universe, God. All creation originates in this one source. God is all there is, which is that's the first step of treatment. The way it works in regard to humankind. Each of us is a creation of God, made of the God substance, a unique individualized incarnation of spirit. This incarnated spirit is my essence and the essence of every part of creation. So our first core principle is really the first.
3 magic words.
Yeah.
I am God.
Yeah. So,
Right?
boy, we did a lot tonight.
We
Keep
did.
going. So,
Home study
yeah. So
or beach study
I have
or
a few
wherever.
typos in here. So, in Living the Science of Mind, which is this book. I don't have a handout. I'm sorry. I should have. Anyway, I will next time. Living the Science of Mind. You're going to read that.
161 to 163. And this will be great because we're going to be talking a lot about this
We're
next
gonna
week.
talk
Thought,
about
feeling, and emotion.
Just write the pages down. You don't need to worry about
Yeah.
all the other. 161 to 163
163.
and page 311. It's all about feelings, okay? And in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, if you haven't already read it, and we talked about it today, just read the quantum you, okay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then on I've read it more than once because sometimes it takes more than once. Okay, and then on writing, based on what you learned or reviewed about treatment tonight, write a treatment for yourself for your successful completion of this class, affirming your self-mastery. And please state your purpose in all 5 steps. We'd love it if you typed it, but if you can't type, that's okay. We
And-
want to see it in writing. If it helps you to, I was just thinking about this because you're going to have to write treatments if you end up going forward. They're hard. They can be hard to write because you flow. That's why typing them is better because you can go faster.
If you type fast.
Right. I mean, I guess you could record yourself and then do it. Anyway,
Just
I
play
want
with it.
what we really want to see, because you're going to be treating yourself all week. What we really want to see is if you understand the concept of the 5 steps, okay, and having a purpose. It doesn't have to be long and elaborate. Save that for your meditation time and all of that. but just that you understand the 5 steps. I think that's what it is, because sometimes people don't. It's fundamental science of mind, and it is our healing modality. So don't worry about it being long and elaborate. Just that it's very succinct, that you understand the 5 steps, okay? And that you have a strong purpose. And we've given you a purpose. Your purpose is for the successful completion of this class, meaning that you're affirming yourself as a self-master, okay?
Yes. Yeah, they're
Yes.
coming. They're already ordered. They should be here
They
tomorrow
should
or
be in
Friday.
tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah,
here.
they'll be here Sunday. We'll all, and make sure I have your correct emails, so that when we email stuff out, that we can make sure.
And if
please
you-
check your email, because
And
we
if
do a
you
lot by
don't check your
emailing.
email, which I know that some people, no, I wasn't just looking at you, but I know some people don't. Then tell us the best way to get a hold of you, because there's nothing more hurting
But
than
there are
when you
gonna
send
be
out 10 things
But
and
guys-
go confirm you got this, and nobody.
But listen,
calls.
we have to be able to email you, because we're going to email, and we're also going to email you the link of the class.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to listen to any of it again, you'll be able to do that, thanks to Ms. Master Rob of the live stream over there.
Which
Okay.
we absolutely thank you for. So before we close out, Rita,
Wait,
close
hold
us
on a
out.
second.
Oh, Ron.
Ron finally has something to say.
Oh, great. That's wonderful.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
And always write them that we can actually, oh, you have great writing. You have great writing. Okay, so we're just going to go by, give me one feeling that you're feeling right now before Rita closes this out.
Good. I thought you were
Good.
closing. I opened you.
Okay. What do you? One feeling.
Eager.
Eager. Ooh, eager.
Astonished.
Astonished. I haven't heard astonished in a long time. I love astonished.
Expansive.
Expansive.
I want to say irritated because the text just now came through. I just looked for it. But I'm going to say open.
Open. Open and irritated. I mean,
I'm excited.
excited.
Yeah, I feel good.
What do you feel, Ron? What do you feel, Rob? Rejuvenated.
Excited. Spacious.
Happy. Ready.
Well,
Well.
Motivated.
Motivated. Okay. And what do you feel, Rita?
Very excited.
And
feel
I
really
feel
good and
absolutely
grateful.
grateful for each and every one of you. So let's just take a moment before we take this moment and head out to another moment after that, and another moment. So knowing that this quantum field, this energy, this thing called God doesn't need any names. It's all names. It's all things. It's the no thing. It's the nowhere. It's the no time. It's everything. All of it at the same time. So I just relax into this moment of love, knowing that tonight something wonderful has occurred that has brought us to this divine moment that I call now, this moment that has never happened before and will never happen again in the exact same way. Tonight, the pioneers have come together to remember who and what we are in every moment. And that is this thing called love. And what I know for each and every one of us, that no matter what desire is asking to be met, no matter what energy is coming up to be known, whatever healing is coming up to be healed and revealed, I know that it has already happened right here. I take all of the words, all of the feelings that have been expressed, and I know that whatever is at the center of us individually is at the center of this thing that we call God, good, love. So I give such gratitude for the courageous and the daringness to come forth to say, I am that I am. And I know that all of the power of the universe and beyond and all of the expansion is right here and right now. And that we take that from this moment to the next moment. We get in our cars with it. We go to sleep with it. We are it. We have become the very thing that we have always been, and that is this divine frequency that knows no limit, that is unlimited. That is what has happened in this evening and what has happened in this moment. So giving absolute gratitude, I just say thank you. Thank you, thank you. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. And I just release my word knowing that every demonstration has already taken place. Every desire has already been met. Everything is already done right here in this divine moment called now. And with that, I am truly grateful. And I just release my word as law, knowing that it is already done. I let it be done, as together we say. And so it is.